Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Devils in God's Country. I am one of your co hosts, Casper Rigsby, along with the lovely, talented Miss Allie Jackson. Say hi, Miss Allie.
Hi, everybody.
All right, tonight's topic is um, moral and ethical standards in relationship to atheism versus theistic ideas. And one of the one of the things that brought us to having this topic discussed tonight was an article that I believe you shared, Allie.
Yeah, so it was an article about a preacher who actually hired somebody to set his wife on fire.
Yeah, um, it's it's something that we have a discussion about a lot. Um, can atheists make um, objective, moral, and ethical uh, choices and have moral and ethical value systems that are objective without the belief in God? So it's weird because we tend to not see atheists doing things like this um, anywhere near as much as we do the religious people, even in relationship to how many atheists there are per capita versus religious people. It it seems like we tend to have the stronger moral values, and I guess a bit of that is due to a stronger understanding of what ethics are and how to be ethical human beings. So, why do you think it is we see more of this from religious folks?
To me, the answer is easy. I think that we see this more from religious people than we do from atheists because they have someone to blame. They get to pass off their bigotry and their hatred onto its God, right? So we see a lot of things like that boxer guy with Nike who said that all homosexuals should be put to death. And he cited the Bible for his excuse for feeling that way. So he hates homosexuals and he gets to say hate-filled, disgusting shit because he gets to blame it on somebody else. He gets to blame it on a higher power. And I think that, that's the difference between a religious person and an atheist. When I wrong you, Casper, I don't get to go to bed at night and close my eyes and have that wrong be righted by God. I don't have that. If I wrong you, I have to come to your face. I have to look you in the eye and I have to say, Casper, I hurt you and I'm sorry. I did this. I'm responsible for my action and I have to beg you for your forgiveness. But a religious person doesn't have to do that. They get to skate by on making any sort of disgusting claim, any sort of disgusting hatred, bigotry statement, and they get to say, well, it's not me, it's my God. And they get to wrong their wives. They get to hire people to kill their wives. They get to wrong their brother because they don't have to go to their brother to get forgiveness, ultimately. All they have to do is go to their God to get forgiveness. So it's so easy when you and I both know that you're talking to yourself. You're not talking to God. And of course, you're going to forgive yourself. And of course, you think that you're special and you're going to get away with this thing because you've excused it in your mind. And I think that it's exactly the reason why you don't see our prisons filled with atheists. You see our prisons filled with Christians. You see them filled with religious people. It's not to keep them satisfied while they're in prison, to give them hope or anything of that nature. It's because everyone truly believes Christianity heals these problems. And it's not that it heals it, it forgives it. Why stop doing the thing that you love if God's just always going to forgive you if you ask forgiveness? If you love to steal, go steal from your neighbor. You don't have to face your neighbor. You have to face your God. You're God. You forgive yourself. And we've seen cases of atheists doing bad things. And a great case that we always bring up is the case where that atheist went nuts and killed three people, his neighbors. Everyone tried turning that into this religious thing. Oh, he's an atheist. He hates Muslims. They were Muslims, so that's the connection here. Really, the guy was just fucking crazy. If you looked at his Facebook posts, yes, he absolutely was an atheist. He did not like Islam, but nowhere does it say that he wanted to go shoot Muslims. Where does it say that? And after he did it, he didn't make any sort of excuse like we see with other people. God wanted me to do it. The devil told me to do it. No, he was just like, dude, I was a fucking dick. I got really pissed off. I got tired of him stealing my parking spot and I shot him. That was pretty stupid. And we have to own up for that. We don't get to excuse our behavior. We don't have anyone who's going to forgive our behavior. We know that we're purely responsible for that. And I think that is the biggest difference that we see between an atheist and a religious person.
Well, I a lot of times I hear religious people argue that atheism inherently leads to nihilism, and that you don't have anything to look forward to, so you don't have anything to believe in. You don't believe in anything. You're just a fucking nihilist, and it's weird because I feel like the only way I can have any meaning in my life is to do something that impacts humanity for the better, because humanity hopefully will exist beyond my death. Um, I hope that I don't die in some huge war that just breaks out and we all kill each other. Like my death and the end of humanity would coincide. Would be like that's terrible to even think about. Um, but I hope that humanity thrives long beyond my death. And so doing something meaningful and impacting while we're here on this planet in the time that we're given, like that's important. That's sort of a real afterlife, something meaningful that has substance. So I don't I don't know. I don't see any more nihilism in atheism than I see in religion. There are plenty of religious nihilists. They just call themselves apocalypticists, but they believe it's all coming to an end and it's all going to be better. But it's still a nihilistic viewpoint because you're not really going to be a person. Like I think these people miss what it is to be a human being. Period. And so their entire existence is flawed. Um, and that sort of does guide their ideas on morals. Um, to be a little inherently skewed based on their religion, because that's the justification. I mean, the justification's always there if you want to interpret it the way you want to interpret it. And that's always another excuse. Well, they interpreted it wrong. Well, why couldn't your God just be fucking clear? Why isn't there something in the Bible that says, hey man, you know what, you shouldn't own another human being? That's a fucked up thing. Like, don't own people. That's not cool. Like, just flat out said that, but it's not there. You know, um, your God should have been specific and been like, hey, don't rape people. Like, that's not cool. Don't rape people. But it doesn't say that in any of the fucking books. It's like not like, hey, don't just go rape somebody. Like, plain and fucking clear. And if your God is supposedly all knowing, why can't he just be, forthright and give the direct order? It's all convoluted bullshit. So I don't know. What do you got?
I think that, it's not even so much about absolutely it has something to do with them having someone to blame. But I think too, it has a common enemy effect. That's it. That's, I think, is a huge driving force. People and anyone who has studied psychology or sociology know that if a group of people are together and they all have a common cause, it keeps them together, it bands them together, and it makes their force more powerful. And every religion has a common enemy, and it's typically the unbeliever. And, you know, anyone can disagree all you want, but we've got scripture and everything that proves that the unbeliever or the homosexual or the adulterer, all these people are designed to be the common enemy. And while these little things we could just easily pass off if we wanted to as, well, that wasn't interpreted correctly, this wasn't interpreted correctly, just like everything else they don't like, we can't do that, because these things we all know are the common enemy and the driving force. And it's really sad. We get a lot of messages to Atheist Republic. I posted one on my page recently because I was taunting him about being sexually repressed. But he tells us that, you know, I hate atheists, you know, you're going to hell. To which I respond and tell him that I think he's cute, and tell him that that's exciting and I think hell's sexy, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I keep talking to this guy, and he was like, you know, I'm not going to lie, you actually are pretty funny. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm a person still, right? So let's be nice, and let's snuggle, and let's be friends. You don't have to hate me because I hold a different belief. And once I said that, it stopped. So it's like he kind of understood, okay, maybe this one person is being a better person than I am, and I'm going to stop now. We rarely get that. Typically, if somebody is challenged in one way or another, they double down and they fight back. And that's just the message that we get all the time. So not only do you have someone to blame when things don't go right in your life, you get to blame the devil, right? It wasn't you didn't get that promotion not because you're lazy, not because you just fucking aren't good at your job. That can't possibly why you didn't get the promotion. You didn't get the promotion because somebody else's prayer was answered, or God has something bigger in store for me. And that's bullshit. You know, you get to blame someone for your own shortcomings. And I used to be there. I did it so many times. I did it. You know, when I left my house and I was homeless and I was scared, and I was still religious, you better believe I said, wow, what a journey this is putting me through. God is giving me this so that one day I can tell my story and help others. God is doing this to me so that one day I'll be in a position where I can help somebody else because I have empathy for them now. And I didn't, you know what, I didn't fucking need that. I didn't. I very well could have had empathy for that person and still had a roof over my head and food in my tummy and you know, electricity. All of that would have been great. So, you know, we do this. We get to live life. We get to make our own choices. And instead of rejoicing in the own choice that we make, or instead of, you know, saying, damn, you know what, maybe if I showed up to work every day on time instead of late, or maybe if I stayed an extra 5 minutes to finish those projects my boss wanted, maybe then I'd get the promotion. You know, if we could just knock the God part off and say, well, you know, maybe just someone else's prayers are answered. He has something better in store for me. No, there's nothing better in store for you. This is it. You do it yourself or you're not going to get it. You realize what your shortcomings are and change them, or else you are going to be in your position forever. That's just the way the fucking world works. So you have someone to blame for your hatred, your bigotry, all your nasty shit. You have someone to blame when your life goes wrong or when things don't go your way. There's so many safeguards in religion that just suppress people. It keeps you fucking suppressed. And, you know, maybe and not every church is like this. So if any Christian viewer is watching this, you'll certainly say not at my church, but there are some churches that absolutely are so strong on the tithing aspect that if you don't give your money. You're not a true member of their church. And we've seen cases in the news where a preacher refused to bury someone because they didn't give their money. You don't get to be a member of the church anymore. There's so many different things that just suppress people, control people. Give us your money, give us your time, give us your energy, give us your everything. And at the end of the day, even then, you get to blame your shortcomings on that. Well, I didn't have time to get to that piece of art I wanted to do because I was busy serving the Lord. I was busy doing something good for this world. When in all honesty, you weren't. You're giving money to some fucking organization that, the Catholic Church promotes child abuse. They promote child abuse. And I still know people who give money to their Catholic Church. What? If I worked for a company and my sole life depended on this job, and they said, you know what? We're going to bring in some kids into the room and we're going to have sex with these kids. And y'all are just going to have to deal with it. That's what we're going to do in the privacy of our own management thing. I would fucking quit. I would absolutely go back to being homeless instead of working for a company that raped children. But yet, we don't look at the Catholic Church that way. We look at it as, well, it's just some. Well, it's not my priest. Well, it didn't happen to me. It's not happening to my kids. Fuck you. It's happening to anyone. If it happens to anyone and your organization says, anyone in your organization says, well, child abuse isn't that important to me. It just wasn't. Those complaints just weren't important to me. Like the Cardinal did in the recent sex abuse allegations. You should stop. Like, how can you continue to support that? Is the fear of hell really that scary for you? And that's, that's what I ultimately want to ask people who suppress themselves, and I see them suppress themselves and their religion like this constantly. Is hell really that scary? Would you honestly prefer to go to heaven and praise and worship a being that allowed child abuse to continuously take place, promoted people into a position, because remember, God answers those prayers, and he continuously puts people in a position where they get to be promoted and become the face of your church? You're going to sit up there and you're going to praise this man who let people rape children rather than burning in hell. Hell is not that scary for me. No, thank you. So even if we could prove right now that God was real, hell was real, all of this stuff absolutely 100% scientifically proven was real, then I would be a maltheist. I would hate God. I would hate God and I'd refuse to worship him, and I'd absolutely continue to complain about people on earth who continuously support an organization that supports child abuse. So I think that I kind of went off on a drunken rant about something else, but to tie it back all in together, people get to blame all of their shortcomings on something, and they suppress themselves because they don't feel like they're strong enough to live their own lives. And I think ultimately that's what keeps people there. And it's sad.
Yeah, I think I'll always like to talk about what actually is objective when it comes to the ideas of ethics and morality. What does objective mean? When we talk about having an objective framework for making a moral or ethical decision, we're talking about something outside of ourselves, something non-personal. And for a religious person, it's always God. God makes the ultimate moral decision. If God says this is okay, this is okay, even if we know objectively through logic and reason that these things are not okay. If God says it's okay, then if we do it in the name of God under that context, it's okay. And that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong, and it's not objective. It's only God's subjective viewpoint, which is absolutely skewed to reality, from the human standpoint at least. I don't think that a supposedly immortal being that lives in another dimension has any say so over what we should be doing here objectively for humanity. That God is not a human. God's viewpoint on what we should be doing isn't objective to the human viewpoint. It's a subjective viewpoint to God's own viewpoint. And it doesn't matter what reality for human beings says and tells us is objectively wrong. I think through logic and reason, an atheistic standpoint can make very objective claims. I think I can objectively say that rape is immoral and it's unethical. If it's unethical, it has to be immoral. Period. I think I can make that statement. And the only way to judge what's truly ethical is to address what's logical and reasonable. So any objective moral standpoint that we take has to be rooted in logic and reason. It has to be. If your standpoint makes no logical sense, has no reasonable sense to it, then it has to be false. I think that's the standpoint that most atheists take, honestly, in looking at the moral judgments that we make against things like slavery, rape, making a moral judgment on homosexuality. Can an atheist make a moral judgment on homosexuality? I think only an atheist really can make a moral judgment on homosexuality. Because I can say logically and reasonable that hating homosexuals is absolutely illogical and it's unreasonable, therefore it is unethical, therefore it's immoral. Period. The discussions sit in there. I've proven my case, and whatever your book says, it doesn't matter. That's false. Period. And I feel like there's a lot of Christians that make that moral judgment. You know, they consider themselves progressive or moderate Christians, and they don't hate gay people, and they don't hate Muslims, and they don't do all the things that they could do if they wanted to, according to their own biblical doctrine. They make an ethical decision and they decide to interpret the scripture to support their ethical decision, and they choose to be ethical people. But that ethical idea of what's ethical, that comes from logic and reason. They reason that out. They understand objectively and logically they can't support that. So they make sure the book justifies it. You interpret it to agree with your own viewpoint. Everyone does, even the scholars. That's what they do.
Yeah, and you know, when we talk about Christian morality, it's so insane to me that those two go hand in hand. One woman told me that without Christianity, everyone would commit adultery. Everyone would just laundry list, murder, steal, lie. It's Christianity that keeps people from doing this stuff. And how absurd. How absolutely absurd. When I can sit here and tell you, I don't murder anybody because I know that it's, to me, not in my best interest to go around murdering people. It's not in the best interest of my community. I have people relying on me and who need me. I don't want to go to jail. There's a billion reasons why I can give you that are great reasons for not killing someone. I'm sorry, murdering someone. Killing someone is completely different. And that's something that I think sets us apart too. I'll touch back on that. But you know, when someone tells me that I'm more prone to kill somebody because I don't have God to stop me, I can't help but laugh and look at the statistics of how many Christians enter jail. Not that are in jail, not that find Jesus and leave Jesus where they found him. I'm talking about the Christians that enter jail. I'm talking about the priests that hire a mistress to his mistress to go set his wife on fire. I'm talking about the Christian rock band guy who hired someone to kill his wife. And once he realized what he was doing to the Christian community, he said, "Oh, but really, I'm just an atheist." Really, guy? Really? So what was your reason behind hiring? What was your scientific, like, awesome laid out reason for wanting to kill your wife? Because it makes more sense to me that you really are a Christian. You're the lead singer of a Christian rock band and you make money this way. So I think an atheist would, actually, I think all of them probably are atheists. Never mind. I'm not going to go down this road. But he probably is. He probably is a Christian. You know, that they says, well, it's okay, everybody, that I did this because I'm really an atheist. And I'm wrong and I'm disgusting and I'm immoral because I'm an atheist. I don't want to give you all a bad name, so I'm going to take this and go. And I think that's, you know, that's even more fucked up. It's even more fucked up to see that your religion is being attacked because of your actions, so then you dismiss your religion. Like, why does it have to be about a Christian thing at all? That's who he was. He was a Christian lead singer. Why take that and be like, oh, well, now I have to be an atheist because of my actions. I have to tell people I'm an atheist to save Christianity. Christianity doesn't need saving. Okay, your wife needed saving. And I'm really happy she didn't die because she needed saving. But if your religion is so strong, people, you know, God doesn't need defending. Your religion doesn't need defending. Okay, it should be able to get drugged through the mud a billion times over and still survive because your faith is so strong and your belief is so correct. So everyone who sits there and does worse things to promote their religion or save their religion, and you want to tell me about morals? You want to make up stupid fucking stories on the internet about some stripper who on a sonogram saw that she was pregnant with a goat and then prayed to God and stopped stripping and stopped being a prostitute, and then her baby came out a human being, and you make this shit up and you spread it all over the internet saying type amen if you believe in the glory of God, and people do this shit, and you want to talk to me about morals? I don't have to make up stories about Christianity, about atheism. I don't have to make up stories about it. I also don't have to make up stories about Christianity, but I certainly don't have to make up stories to make people be like, oh, atheism's so great. No, atheism probably sucks. In all honesty, it really does. I don't have anyone but myself to blame for all of my problems. You know, and I, for the love of God, sometimes would absolutely love it. Love to be a Christian again. So that, you know, at the end of the day, I can come home and be like, you know what? Maybe I don't suck this much. Maybe I am the good one, but I'm just being taught a lesson. You know, I would love that kind of freedom again, to have that. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here and make up stories that atheism is fantastic and everyone should be an atheist. You know, it's, if you lose God, you lose God, but you need to at least have yourself. No matter what the fuck you are, you need to have yourself. You are your moral compass. You are. Okay, I don't kill my brother because I don't think that's right. I think there are smarter ways to go about handling conflict. I don't steal because I don't think that's right. I'm not scared that if I steal, I'm going to go to hell. I'm not scared that some sky daddy is going to be like, Allie, you bad girl. Now I'm gonna get my brother Karma to come in here and teach you a lesson. No, I don't steal because it's fucking not right. I see the people that I'm hurting, and the same reason why I don't cheat, same reason why I don't do these bad things is because I don't think they're right. I'm not scared of punishment. I don't care about punishment. It is punishment enough to me if I know I hurt somebody. That is my punishment. That hurts. That cuts deep. Hell? Fuck hell. I don't care about that. I care about the heart I just broke. I care about the person who gave me their trust and I betrayed it. That is hell for me. That is the worst punishment I could ever be given. And that's my moral compass. I absolutely hate that atheists get this label that we're immoral people. And something that I did want to touch back on is I think that I do understand a little bit of why people think that, because I do think that there are perfectly ethical times where you can kill somebody when you're being attacked, right? And your only option, your only way out is to kill them to save yourself because they have put you in a position that, to me, of course, isn't murder. To me, that's killing. And I think that in some of those situations, that's okay. I think we get labeled sexually deviant and disgusting freaks or easy or slutty, because we hold views on homosexuality that are different from what people claim the Bible states, or things like incest. Will I do incest? No, I'm never, ever gonna fuck my brother. But do I think that two people can be in an incestual relationship if it's two consenting adults and they're not trying to procreate a child and they understand that if they do, they'll abort it? That's two consenting adults right there that aren't trying to bring a life into this world that's going to be harmed by their DNA. So my morality there, polyamory, whatever, this is your one life. Get out and fuck people. Do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy. Keep doing wake up to do something new and have a new experience. And I think that's where our immoral, that's where also we get labeled this moral deviant, because we have these kind of thoughts and ideas typically in the atheist community. Not every atheist thinks this way, obviously. There's a huge difference between an atheist and somebody who considers themselves a part of the atheist community. And that's very important to point out as well. But in the atheist community, these things are very, very popular and common, these thoughts on sex. So because some book 2,000 years ago says that a man should be, and actually some people interpret some parts of the Christian Bible, and Christian polygamy is starting to become a bigger rising, not Mormon polygamy, God, I'm drunk, not other things, but actual just Christian polygamy is kind of on the rise because they found parts of the Bible that they've interpreted to mean God wants you to have multiple partners. So we see that, we're starting to find more excuses. Me, if I needed that lifestyle, that's what I would get. That's what I would explain to my partners. That's what everyone would understand. This is what she wants. Either I can start this relationship with her knowing that or not. And that's just the way it would be. And I don't need to go say, here's my Bible verse that says it's okay for me to want to fuck, two girls in bed with you. Here's my Bible verse. No, that's insane. I'm not a child. I don't need a note from mommy because I'm skipping out on school. You want to fuck multiple people? Go be an adult and fuck multiple people. Make sure that your partners are cool with it and understand the truth before you get into it. That's morality. There's some morality. Casper, I'm going to quit talking and let you jump in here.
No, I hear you. You know, can you? The question always for me is, can I logically and reasonably say that definitively that yes, this is bad or yes, this is good? Um, on issues like polyamory and consenting adult couples that engage in multiple partner relationships, like I don't care. If you're not hurting anybody, I don't care. That's none of my fucking business. If that makes you happy and you're not hurting anyone, whatever. It's the same as homosexuality. I don't engage in homosexuality because I'm not homosexual, but I don't care that somebody else is. Like, that doesn't bother me. Like, you can have your relationship, and that doesn't threaten me in any way, shape, or form. You're good. Like, you get all the same shit I get. I want you to be equal with me. I think of you as an equal human being. You're just another person on this planet. You're cool. Like, that's all it ever is. Um, and it all comes back to what's logical, what's reasonable, what can I honestly say is the defining line. And it doesn't matter if there's a book that says it or not. Um, I think one of the most logical ideas ever thought of since we've been, recording history and writing our ideas down and sharing them with others. One of the oldest thoughts that's gotten us through is I shouldn't do shit to other people that I don't want to happen to me. Like, I shouldn't do that because I know how that would fuck me up, and so I don't do that to other people. Like, I can assume they don't want that to happen to them. If I don't want it to happen to me, it shouldn't happen to them, so I don't do it. It's really simple, and it predates Bibles, holy books. You know, it predates the just the general huge religion. It's an idea that's adopted by governments throughout all of history, long before Christian history. It's an old idea, and that's really the start of how you be a decent, ethical fucking person. If if you can't figure out whether or not someone wants something to happen to them, you may have mental issues because honestly, you should know. Like, you can ask yourself, do I want to get raped? And then you should look at everybody else, and you should look at what most people say. And most people are like, don't want to be raped. I don't want that to happen. If you're not in line with what they say, you should understand why. You may have a fetish, or just an actual mental issue. You may actually need to seek psychiatric help. So don't just like brush it off, um, because you can understand more about yourself. I think that's what really makes us individuals, makes us people, makes us human beings, is trying to understand ourselves and then think in relationship to the human experience. Like, that's what life should be about. One of the things about holy books that really just lose me is it's always a story about a god or a huge fucking event, or these people and their struggle through God and what God did for them. It's not about the people, and it's not about the human experience. It's about God's experience. It's about Jesus's experience. Um, it it's not relative to the human experience. That's the experience we have to deal with. The human. experience. This is what we have. It may not even be definitive. We could all be in the fucking matrix somewhere. But from the human experience, from the human perspective, this is what we have. So we have to think of it in those terms. It's not about what God has in plan for us. It's not about what God has in store for us. It's not God's fucking story. It's humanity's story. It didn't begin with us just being formed into this. Like, we grew into this and we finally started saying, hey, here we are, and making an impression on this planet, and then consistently fucking it up further and further on down the line. Um, Hopefully something that we're going to try to rectify eventually, if at all possible at this point. But we started making our mark. We grew into this. We evolved into this. We weren't formed and just like, oh, let me start writing on fucking tablets. That's not how this works. We didn't just start writing. Like, we know the progression of human thought as far as writing goes. So it wasn't like we were just set out to fucking write in a normal language and, oh, everybody understands this. It didn't work that way. So we haven't really been recording this until we started being able to make a mark. And we started telling our story, but we always told it from somebody else's fucking viewpoint. It's always about God's fucking story in our lives. What God gave to us. He gave us a good harvest. Praise God. God was the sun back then. This was long before Jesus. That's where God was. He was that big shiny thing that made the crops grow. That was God. And when you had a good harvest, you praised God. You bowed down, you worshiped Him. You built huge fucking stone monoliths, praising that big orb in the sky, because that's what kept you alive. That was your God. And it's morphed and evolved along with human evolution. Human beings tend to evolve mentally rather than physically. We're not changing a lot physically, but mentally, our minds, our thought process, they're gradually getting progressively better because we're working them harder. We're progressively layering things on and coming to more understanding. I think one of the things I like to say is, when man created God, we created an imperfect image of ourselves because we were recording ourselves from an outside perspective, but it was still our own perspective. God was abusive and hateful and hurtful because that's what we were. He mirrored us. As we've evolved, people's own personal gods have evolved too. Most people, as they've become more ethical, have a better understanding of the world around them, their gods have evolved too. I think if you're a religious person, if you're a Christian, and you're even the slightest bit moderate, if you don't hate homosexuals, you need to look at whether or not you actually believe in the God of the Bible you say you do. I think that's a good place to start. Why do you disagree with your God? Why do you disagree with the people that were supposedly prophets that wrote on his behalf? How does that work? I don't know. I think that we're going to keep having this sort of debate for a long, long time because most of the time we can't just agree to respect each other's position as being something that can be different, but as long as we're all on the same path, it's okay. I dislike religious belief I absolutely hate religious doctrine, but I don't hate religious people because most religious people don't actually follow the doctrine. They don't actually believe in the God that's talked about in that doctrine. They don't actually believe in that God. They believe in this whole other God that they've formed in their own minds that conform to their own thoughts. And most of those people are decent, ethical people. Most of them. And that would be fine if that was all there was. But then there's fundamentalists. And as long as there's fundamentalists, as long as there's people like Ken Ham, Ray Comfort, Kurt fucking Cameron, then there's going to be this argument. And it's a stupid argument to have. You know, it's a ridiculous argument. I'm not going out and killing people because I shouldn't go out and kill people. I don't want people to come out and kill me. That doesn't sound cool at all. I don't want that to fucking happen. So I'm not going to do that to anybody. And we should just end the discussion. Like, okay, you're not going to do that because, yeah, you don't want that. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, fuck it, cool, we're good. Like, don't question me over whether I have an objective moral standpoint. Of course I do. That's why I don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about that. That's why we don't turn around and do these things. It doesn't feel good to have it happen to us. Empathy is the biggest part here, and we can look at people in our prison system who have committed violent crimes like murder, like kidnapping, things of this nature. And one thing that they mostly lack is empathy. They don't know how to put themselves in someone else's shoes and see things from their viewpoint. They don't have a good understanding of sympathy. And I do think that a lot of that is due to mental illness. And that is what can really make you an immoral person. Someone who lacks any sort of good character in that nature. Being religious alone, is that going to make you immoral? No, I don't think so at all. But I certainly think that if your moral compass isn't something legit, it makes you more likely to not be a moral person. I think that if your only punishment is fear of hell, but you're your own God that you speak to every night, so you forgive yourself, and you think it's all going to be okay in the end anyway because you want it to be, I'm kind of scared of you. If the only reason why you don't rape me is because you're afraid of going to hell, you're the scariest fucking person I know. There's absolutely something wrong with that. If the only reason why you're not breaking into people's houses and stealing their stuff and stealing their bank cards and just being a terrible person, the only reason is because you're afraid of hell, that's you're the most unempathetic, terrible beast that could possibly walk the face of this earth. But I do know a lot of religious people who don't do bad things because they know it hurts them. They know that they wouldn't want it to happen to them. They know that they don't want to disappoint Jesus, whatever. And that's better, right? Even that's better than just, oh, I'm afraid of going to hell, so I'm not going to do this to you. But if there wasn't a hell, whoa, very scary. It's very scary. You guys never become atheists. It's a very, very scary viewpoint there. And yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about that. That's, I don't know, that's one of the scariest things. But ultimately, you mentioned something about we're not going to see each other's viewpoints or something. I don't know. It sparked a thought in me that I don't believe that a lot of us should just be comfortable with accepting people's beliefs and being done with it. I don't have to respect anyone's beliefs. I most certainly do need to show respect towards people. Like if any Christian wants to come and talk to me, be respectful to me, you better believe I'm going to be respectful to you as a human being, as a person. That's just the way we should be towards each other. But am I going to bash Christianity? Yes, I am. I don't agree with that belief. And not all beliefs, we see this on Atheist Republic all the time. People are like, oh, atheists don't need to band together. It's like stamp collectors and non-stamp collectors. Non-stamp collecting isn't a hobby. So you guys get together to talk about how something's not your hobby. And I'm like, what? Imagine if everyone around you is a stamp collector, and those stamp collectors are cutting off other people's heads for not being a stamp collector. And then, people are wanting to imprison non-stamp collecting people. It's not that atheists need to band together because we don't believe in God. We need to band together to keep our sanity amongst the insanity of the stamp collectors. This stuff happens, and it happens all over the world. And, while Casper and I don't speak for atheists, there is no voice for atheism, but we can speak about our own experiences in the atheist community. And I think one of the most important things that atheists need to do is become involved in your local or online atheist community. There are valid reasons for doing this, not for organizing for any sort of ritual, not to sit there and bash religion, not to do any of these things, but when there are so many stamp collectors and they're trying to change laws, like in Texas, where women have to travel 150 miles to carry out their constitutional right to have an abortion. And this is all because of stamp collectors and their fucking 2,000-year-old guide. We need some sort of community to band together and say, you know what? This is wrong. And it's not that we're banding together because we hold the same beliefs on everything. It's not because, we hold the same moral compass. It's nothing to do with that. Atheists need to band together because we need a safe place to fall. We need someone to go vent to. I can sit here and vent to Casper. And we do. This is a show where we fucking get drunk and we talk about shit that pisses us off. And I think a lot of people miss that when they're asking questions about our show. But anyways, this isn't supposed to be some intelligent debate about a topic between me and Casper. We're literally here fucking smashed talking about shit that pisses us off. And we need to do this because if we didn't do this, I think that my head might explode. I live my life as an activist. So I am elbow fucking deep in a lot of the shit that comes out of religion. We get death threats, we get a lot of stuff, and I feel that if I didn't have somebody to talk to about this stuff, if I didn't have a community to go to who understood what it was like to get this kind of dialogue from religious all the time, I would go crazy. I would absolutely lose my mind. And it's also a good thing because singular people, and again, anyone who studies psychology will know this, singular people need to check their thoughts with other people, or they will start advising themselves on really weird, strange shit, and then all of a sudden that becomes their reality. And recluses have this problem. People who, bunker down in their little home with no internet, some cabin out in the woods, you start getting these really weird thoughts sometimes. And if you don't check them with somebody else, you can absolutely become insane. And atheists, for the most part, are kind of reclusive simply because some of us have been thrown out of our homes. Some of us have been thrown out of our families. Some of us have been forced to leave churches, communities, and we have no one. And we say, why the fuck are we going to get with, and how moral is that, right? You don't believe in God and you're not my son anymore. Get the fuck out of my house. That's fucking moral as shit. Anyways, but we are kind of a group of rejects. We've been rejected by our family, society, whatever, and we don't have people to bounce our ideas off unless we find people to bounce our ideas off of. I think atheist community is outrageously important, and I think that it can help strengthen moral compass among a group of people who I don't think we even need it, but just to band together and show people you don't need God to be good. You can be good without God, and that's ultimately why I think that is important. An important aspect when we talk about religion versus atheism and morality is the atheist community and kind of building that up. Casper, I'm gonna hand it all over to you.
No, I think it's been a good talk. Um, I know that on a daily basis I see so much shit, and I'm like, if I don't say something by the end of next week, I'm just gonna lose my shit. Like even when you're not on the show, it's just like, oh man, I love all the guests we do have on when we have guests on when you're not able to be here, but getting to just fucking unload sometimes, it's like, oh my god, these people are fucking crazy. I've got to get this off my chest. To other people that might not even understand. There's plenty of people in this community, in the atheist community, that grew up in an atheist home or a secular home, have never had religion shoved down their throat by anyone ever. Like their community was all just really chill and happy, friendly. Oh, you don't want to do this? Okay, that's cool. Whatever. You know, um, their Boy Scout group, even though Boy Scouts don't actually allow atheists in, was just like, oh yeah, you want to do this? That's fine. We don't care what your parents are or what they hold to. Like it's cool. You do this with us. Come camping with us. Do all this cool shit. Yeah, there's so much that our kids miss out on because they become excluded because of who we are. And most of us don't even force that on our kids. Like I don't force my kids to be atheists. I don't claim my kids are atheists. I don't know what they are. I have no idea what they believe. We haven't really discussed religion. My kids are 9 and 3, and you don't. There's no ability for them to understand right now all the complex shit there really is behind religion. Let's first understand how manipulation works. Before you ever study religion, you need to understand what it is to be manipulated. Then we can start talking about these books and the manipulation behind them. And I want you to talk to everyone. Talk to religious people. Don't just talk to me. Hear what everybody has to say and make your own decision. But I want you to have all the information to do that reasonably and to understand how logic and reason works. And then tackle it. See where you come out. What's the most logical, reasonable position? That's where you should be. That's where I am as an atheist. That's why I don't do fucked up shit to other people. There's nothing logical or reasonable about it. I can't find any good reason to do it. None. No matter how angry I get or what they do to me, unless they're trying to kill me, I don't see any reason to harm them. If they're trying to hurt me, I will do everything in my power to stop them. And beyond stopping them, I'm not just going to sit there and continue hurting them like that. I'm just not going to do that because I wouldn't want that done to me. I don't want anyone to ever do that to me. That's a fucked up thing to happen. So I don't do it. Um, as always, the views expressed here are strictly mine and Allie's. They're not necessarily the views of the Atheist Public Organization. So if you have any issues with anything we said here, direct them to us. You can post them in the comments below, and we will answer as Atheist Republic if we get around to them, if we see what's going on there. If you got any show ideas or anything like that, let us know. post it in the comments. We do look at them. We do follow them. So if you want to give us some feedback, please do. As always, the things that we do at Atheist Republic Organization, as an organization, are not free. We are a 501c nonprofit, and we always need help in any way, shape, or form that you can offer it, whether that's financial help or whether you want to volunteer and join our team. Um, we are always looking for more people to join this community. This has been the Devils in God's Country. Thank you to everyone who watched.